Welcome classic rock fans to an album review, and today I want to talk about Antony Kalugin's Chameleon Shapeshifter. Antony Kalugin, of course, is a Ukrainian prog musician who is better known for Karfagan, this band, who I will come to a little bit later on. But it's nice to talk about Ukraine with positive associations rather than the horrible events we're seeing unfolding in the news. So this album for me came as a breath of fresh air to talk about, and like a breath of fresh air, that simile is rather apt here, because this is largely instrumental symphonic prog, which I personally find quite immersive and restorative. It's definitely worth a listen, and I'm pretty sure he needs your support at the moment, as did this band. So I will put the links and purchasing links for this CD and others just below this video. Anyway, so let's talk about the music on this album. I'm not suggesting you should give this album a go for the reasons I've just stated, but purely because it's generally worth hearing, I think. If you like prog, if you like symphonic prog as well, as I said, this album is largely instrumental. You get these cinematic, lengthy prog pieces. And this is a very tightly rendered performance. It has a live feel to it. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it has a flow which is certainly apparent. It has textures of latter-day Floyd on this. It's quite melodic, and I wouldn't consider it a challenging listen. This isn't in any way Take-O-Mago, but nevertheless it's proggy enough to pick your interest. So I was listening to this morning over my breakfast bagel and coffee in order to formulate an opinion of this music. Well, the first track is Chameleon. I love the keyboards at the start of this, which feels very much like a nod to the work of Tony Banks, in my opinion. And that's certainly for the first 5 minutes before this volta or shift, which sees this music moving towards more jazzy textures. The jazzy textures kind of serve as a bridge to the more symphonic prog elements once more. This is very accessible progressive rock. I know some people might say that's a bit of an oxymoron. But it's certainly reminiscent of bands like, I would say, Camel and Mike Oldfield's 1980s output. At about 9 minutes 15 in, we get this very funky, almost techno section, which again is another one of those interesting bridges back into the more symphonic stuff. And I love the big piano finish on this. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm listening to this, I'm kind of reminded of the Alan Parsons Project at times. The next track is Shapeshifter. It's a beautiful, evocative instrumental, like a lot of the music on this album, in fact. But it's punctuated by some interesting sax breaks and some nice choral interludes as well. Number 3 is Exceptional Chamel Ballad. This has something of the almost like sci-fi vibe to it, almost like Mike Oldfield melded with Blade Runner. There's some excellent, solid synth work, some great soaring guitar, and get some organ flourishes as well, which very much commandeer this track. One reviewer has pointed out that Antony seems to channel the essences of classic Genesis and Yes passages of the 1970s. Yes, I would agree with that, but overall I think this is more accessible than some of the more denser pieces that Yes were doing in the 70s. And there's some wonderful Hammond work on this, around about 6 minutes 30 in, which will delight myself. Those of you who are huge fans of Uriah Heep and Vanilla Fudge and all that sort of stuff will certainly enjoy this. Wondrous Glory is another jazzy one on this album, with lots of interesting instrumentation used. And there's slow, methodic lead guitar, and there's gorgeous, swampy bass guitar, which I just love. And number 6, Key, sounds like a Steve Hackett-inspired number, if ever there was one. Antony Kalugin is part of Karfagan, of course, which you may have heard of. Again, a Ukrainian prog band. And I was listening to this one this morning. I listened to both these, I love them both, but I was specifically listening to this one. Principles and Theory of Spectra. This feels like a homage to early Genesis. It starts off with some beautiful pastoral-sounding guitar, which gives way to some fantastic synth work or Moog work, but nevertheless it sounds absolutely wonderful. It very much reminds me of Steve Hackett era Genesis, so I'd recommend this one. Give this one a go. So there you are. I wanted to share some thoughts on Antony Kalugin's album and some general thoughts about Karfagan. Anyway, as I said, I will include the links for his albums and for this band's albums down below. Anyway, I hope you're well, staying safe, but more importantly that you keep listening.